If you're anything like me, you probably have a place in your home where you can display your mementos, things that you picked up during your travels or gifts that your friends have given you. And today at Mixed Media Masters, we're going to create a piece of artwork that's going to represent our collection of goodies. Hello makers and welcome to Spectiva Studios. If it's your first time here, then it's good to have you. Thanks so much for joining us. We talk about art every single week. We talk about creating abstract art and I show you how to make things and you can make your own as well. Anyway, if this is the kind of thing that interests you, then yeah, that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon and we'll let you know when we drop a video every Friday morning. Now, as promised, this week we're going to talk about creating something, a bit of an abstract art where we're going to display our goodies. And what I'm thinking here is, one of the things that's really kind of fun from an art standpoint is creating a grid of, of elements. And I've done this in the past with several of my projects. Some of these are, very small. I like to create these 1 inch by 1 inch things, which take forever in a day. A lot of fun. We're going to make it a little bit easier today. We're going to be creating things that are going to fit into a box that's 3 inches by 3 inches. Now, in order to figure this out, I want to set down a grid on my piece of paper. Just make it a lot easier to figure out where things are going to go before we start putting them there. And so I'm working with a quilting ruler, which is transparent, and it's 6 inches wide by 2 inches long, which is, it's by 2 feet long is what I meant to say. And it's just going to give us an opportunity to kind of narrow things down. Now, as we often do, we're working with a piece of 24 by 18 inch watercolor paper. This is my Strathmore heavy duty watercolor paper, and I'll leave a link in the description below. But I want to figure out how to chunk this down. And the original thought is, you know what, let's create grids of 3 inches and 3 inches and 3 inches, and we'll make 12 of them. Kind of, so 3 across, 4 down. All right, so this is going to make it kind of interesting. So what I'm thinking, again, our cabinet of curios is we're going to put some sort of, interesting object here and 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 here. And I think actually instead of having a bottom row, I may just put something here. Just to kind of break it up, make it a little bit different. Right? There's no right answer, by the way. We can do whatever we want here. But what I want to work with this week, and again, if I wanted to grab markers or paint or do whatever to kind of fill this in, it's up to me. I'm going to go back and I'm going to work with one of my favorite. That is cut paper, and I have a whole bunch of here. Now, by the way, it doesn't have to be super fancy, and you can go to your big box art store and pick this stuff up. It's not crazy expensive, and a lot of it, what it's going to come down to is what colors do you want. It's really like going and choosing paint at an art store, and what do you want your palette to be. So I have a lot of fairly bright colors in here, which I think will be fun. And what I'm thinking I'd like to do is just kind of have, again, each one of these squares is going to be a place where an object of art is going to sit, and we're going to decorate it accordingly. So let me start. I'm going to come in here and grab something that we can use as a foundation. And you know what? This blue color will work nicely. I have some of my favorite craft scissors in the world. I put a video out on this last year, but just to clue you in, these are poultry shears. Yeah, these are designed for kitchen work, for cutting meat apart. And in my experience, these are my favorite scissors to use for art for a couple reasons. First of all, they manage to fit in my big hands. But also, when you put them down and pick them up, you don't have to have them aligned to go a certain way because they only cut one way. You can just pick them up any way you pick them up. And so I find it just very easy. The blades are good. I don't know. They work well for me, and they may work well for you. All right, so what I want to do here is, again, what I'm going to put in here is going to be up to me. I'm going to put some sort of a blobby thing. I'll start with that as a foundation. So let me kind of create something that will fit in that space. And there we go. So, and I can measure it in here, dry fit it, and say, okay, that's going to be the first thing I want to have. That's one of my beautiful pieces of artwork. That's nice. Now, do they all have to be big blobby things? And by the way, that's just going to be the bottom layer. I'm going to decorate that as we go through. Maybe I have an orange that I want to work with here. And the orange is going to be a little bit different. Maybe it's going to be like a vase-y sort of thing. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a shape that's going to reflect something a little bit more symmetrical. Cut this out here and then come back in here, and then if I wanted to come back in and kind of match that curve right there, and doink. Okay, and I can say, yeah, there's my next piece. And what I want to do is just create a collection of my artifacts, my great found treasures from my travels, and start to fill it in here. Now, once again, I'm using cut paper. What you want to put in there is entirely up to you. There is no exact right way to do this. What we're really looking for, of course, is a variety of different objects that will really make this kind of a fun thing to look at. And by the way, this is a great project to work on with children because they can also create, cut paper, create something that are the artwork that they want. And of course, with the colors, especially these bright colors, they do fit the motif of a lot of children's bedrooms, and that might be something to consider as well. So I'm gonna drop a few of these different shapes in here. We don't have to do every step of the way. And when I'm done, we'll come back and we'll start doing some decorating. Okay, so I put some basic shapes together here, and again, there's no right way to do this. I'm just kind of winging it as I go along. But what I want to do is I want to kind of make these a little bit more interesting. These are kind of just foundational shapes. And for example, I want to take my my light blue here, and you know what goes really well with this? Yellow. So I'm going to take a piece of yellow cardstock here, and I'm going to, I don't know, do something to enhance this a little bit. I'm going to cut through here, and I'm just going to create kind of a blobby thing that's going to go inside my blobby thing. How about that? Here we go. So I have here a blob, and I'm going to just find a way to interrelate that with that guy there. I like the colors. Again, going with contrasting colors really works here. I'm going to come in here. You know what? I'm going to grab a gluing sheet just to make things easier for me. And I'm going to use that old-fashioned model that we're all familiar with, which is lined paper. That's right. So let me come in here and get some glue on the back of my yellow. Pop it in here like like that, So those two will be fused together. That's a good start. And again, I don't need to necessarily go off the rails here on what I end up doing. Let me use some of the sheets I've already jumped in on. Let's say I have this yellow piece. The yellow will go really well with the blue and that yellow. I'm sure the pink will go well with that. That's what I meant to say. So let me just create a little, again, a part. And we'll just kind of create a three-parter here. If I drop that in there like that, kind of interesting. And if I create any of these along the way and I don't really love them, guess what? I don't have to keep them. They are my objects of art. And I'm going to do one thing just to make this a little bit more interesting, I think, visually. I'm going to drop a little green in there. What I'm going to do is just create a straight piece like this. And it probably doesn't have to be all that long, but let's see. If I come in here and just, put it like right through the middle like that. Beautiful. So let's get some glue on this. Again. And I use my gluing sheet just so I don't end up getting glue all over my table, which invariably I have to wash this thing, every couple of weeks anyway, because it gets painted and glued and all that good stuff. Make it a little bit easier. Again, so I made I picked this up in my travels. Yes, I sure did. And I'm going to put it up here as part of my Curio cabinet there. That's kind of fun. And again, I can figure out its orientation later if I want to. Let's do some of the yellow piece. And again, this is really the fun part of creating a project like this. It just allows us to come in here and to really just make this a learning, but also an exploration. I got this orange piece. You know what? This other orange piece looks really good, just like that. So let's get that glued in. And you're gonna, at times you're gonna put two pieces together and you're gonna go, nah, that doesn't work. And other times you're gonna put them together and you're gonna say that works beautifully. Okay, that is nice. I'm gonna do one last thing here just to make it a little bit more polychromatic, and I'm going to create a red dot. And it doesn't have to be too big. There we go. And I'm going to put the red dot right there. Now look, yeah, that looks good. So there we go. Red dot. And there we go. We have wow, yes, I remember exactly where I was when I picked that up at the market. I sure do. Let's come on in here and we'll work out here really nicely. Some sort of a yellow. So I have my yellow sheet over here. And again, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it's going to involve a few dots. That's what it's going to involve. So I'm going to cut out section of my yellow, and let's just go, I'm going to make a dot. So there's going to be one. It's going to go on there like that. I'm going to create another dot. Beauteous. So we'll put it in there like this. Well, let's make one more yellow dot. We can make it off this small piece right here. And one of the things I love about working with paper, first of all, it's the kind of thing you can pick up and put down. You don't have to wait for things to dry. The cleanup is, frankly, it's a little bit easier. But also, it gives you so much flexibility, because oftentimes when you're making things, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And when you work with paint and things like that, it can be unforgiving, right? You put the paint down and like, oh, I don't like that. Well, it's too late. The paint is down. But when you're working with cut paper, and especially if you're dry fitting the things, and what is this going to look like if I put this in here, etc., you can really come in here and just try it before you commit to it. And we'll say something like that. All right. Don't hate that. So, again, get some glue on the back of these guys. Get these pasted down. And do I want to... Maybe I'll put the pink in this location. Yeah, I think that's going to just balance it a little bit better. There you go. And just make sure those are secured down. All right, we have our top row of art done. And if I want to add something to this later on, I certainly have that option. I can decorate these. I could take each one of these, hit them with a magic marker. I could paint on them. It's entirely up to us. And that leaves us our last piece here. And again, just in the interest of time, if nothing else, let's just come in here and let's create something. I'm going to put kind of a curved line that will kind of go like this. Bust out of here, and I'm just going to say let's create a curved line that we can kind of almost like a crescent moon of sorts. Okay, and we'll bring it like that. And again, we'll put it like that, coming up here. We could even have it extend off the top. Why the heck not? This is our object. So I'm going to say it comes like that, goes to my object and comes off the top. And the last thing I want to do is I'm going to put in a couple of these blue pieces here. Let's make just some bars. I'll make 4 of them. And then get some glue, put it like that. Maybe offset them a little bit off the yellow bit. Kind of center piece, and one more. All right, it's beautiful. Now, once again, no right answer. What we're going to do here, however, is we're going to determine if we like where they're currently sitting, if we want to rearrange things. And oftentimes, if I'm looking at something like this, I might think, well, if there are too many of the same colors together in the same place, that might not work as well. And if some are rounded and some have angles, maybe we should intersperse them. I'm going to be honest, kind of in planning this out and visually as I was making it, I kind of went there already. So I'm pretty comfortable with how this is going to work out. So again, the last thing to really think about is the orientation of these things. And sometimes you can just, kind of spin them and say, does it look better this way? Does it look better this way? I kind of like it that way better. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to paste this whole thing down now. And get glue in here. So again, if you like color, and I do, this could be a really fun kind of thing to dress up any kind of a space. Now the last thing we're going to do is perhaps there's a way we can make this a little, pop a little bit more. And using a basic color, well, lack of thereof, like black could really help here. And again, the consideration here is I want to go in here and get rid of my lines, but should I? And what I'm thinking is, and again, this may be kind of an interesting way to do it, is instead of erasing the lines, what happens if I just cover them up with strips of black paper to create kind of a permanent grid work? I'm going to use my rotary cutter. This is, again, this is a tool that's used predominantly in quilt making for cutting cloth and fabric, but it's also fantastic for cutting paper. I'll put this in a link down below with all the rest of the equipment. So if there's anything here that you see, like, I want one of those. This is one of my favorite tools ever. And what I'm going to do is just kind of come in here and roll. And do so, basically this razor sharp circular blade has just cut me a thin sheet here. And again, the concept here is if I come in here and use this as kind of the foundation or the framework for these objects, what is that going to look like? Okay, and that could be really kind of fun. So let me cut a few more of them. And again, we're going to experiment here by kind of dry fitting these things in here. And I can now say what happens if we go across. And let's go a couple more. I think that really actually makes a difference. I think that makes it a lot more fun to really have this big, bold line. You can't look away from it, right? The thought was we're getting rid of the pencil marks because I don't want to show the grid as such, but I kind of do want to show this part of the grid. So a couple more things I want to do, and I'm going to kind of have to experiment with that box at the bottom. Is we get a crossbar here. So again, I'm going to kind of eyeball this long, and this long will allow me to create that framework like that and like that. Okay, so I think that's going to be a pretty cool thing. Again, it makes it a little bit more cartoony, I get that part, but it also makes it a lot more visually interesting. Anyway, the bottom line is that I think this is going to be a fun thing to do. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to glue these pieces down, get them covering my lines as much as I can, in places where the lines, the pencil lines are showing up. I'm going to, of course, erase those. And yeah, we'll take a peek at it when I'm done, and we'll see if there's anything else we want to do with this. Okay, as you can see, I've had an opportunity to get my borders in, and again, it's looking really fun, which is really the objective for this particular piece. Now, the last thing I need to do is just get rid of some of my lines, and I'm using a Prismacolor Magic Rub Eraser. And coming up in a couple weeks, I'm going to have a full tutorial, an exploration, and a shootout of these different types of art erasers and what makes them different and which one is best for which job. So stay tuned for that. But for right now, I'm just going to come in here and let's get rid of the lines we don't need. And we get around the corners here. We want to be very careful we don't bump into them because we don't want to peel up the paper at all. The goal here is to just get this thing cleaned up so we can get a better sense visually of what we've created here. And the interesting thing about taking the lines away is it, again, it's like masking. When you take the masking off of something and all the clean lines emerge, it's just kind of a delight. It's like, oh, yeah, that's how it's going to look. It's hard sometimes to visualize what the finished project's going to look when it has all these extraneous pencil marks all over it. So hopefully we'll do that, and there we go. Yeah, you got to vacuum every so often. That's the thing about being an artist, is that you definitely have to clean up your floor because it becomes the default location of all the eraser crumbs and other things that you don't work with. All right. And again, the objective here is to create a burst of color. This is incredibly colorful. If you want to do something with more subdued colors, green on green kind of thing, yeah, absolutely, do that. But you can create some interesting curios of your very own. Create a frame for them. Maybe you want more than 10. I don't know. Maybe you want a whole bunch of smaller ones. Maybe you want to create, just a shelf and just line stuff up on it. Do what you want to do. What's going to make you happy. The objective of this project is to show you that we can make art pretty quickly and make it kind of fun, which is what we want to be able to do. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. And if this is the kind of thing you really enjoy, then yeah, we encourage you to become a subscriber if you're not already. Anyway, this is Spider. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you real soon.